Yo, what is good, Buckeye Nation? Welcome back to the Game Podcast. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. First off, I want to thank you for all the support that y'all have given me. But let's get into the video. So obviously, guys, we know that Ohio State's receiver room has been the strongest point for the past 4 or 5 years. We don't have to go through all the great Buckeye receivers. Even last year's great, but I want to talk about this upcoming season. Could this receiver room be one of the most historic receiver rooms this year? And I've been kind of thinking about this. I want to go. I kind of want to go through through the players' weaknesses and what they did last year and what they can improve on. And I just want to just talk about this receiver room because I think it's gonna be very very deep. And again, that's gonna be dependent on what the coaches are gonna do. I mean, there's a lot of talent, and especially off projection, we don't know how good. Obviously, we don't know how good these other guys are gonna be. Obviously, we know that Marvin Harrison is gonna be great. We know that he's one of the most dominant receivers. But I think this could be one of the deepest rooms in college football. But again, that's dependent on Brian Hartline. We know the past few years, he's been very kind of tight. He's been kind of tight with the rotation. I feel like it's been one of the issues with this team. I kind of saw it last year that the receivers kind of slowed down. Guys like Emeka Buka got hurt. He kind of wasn't the same. Didn't have the same explosion. And then we saw against Georgia. He was at his best version. He was fast. He was quick, running faster. And it's gonna be all dependent. It's gonna be all really dependent on that. But I want to go through. I want to kind of go through some of these receivers. And first, I want to start. Start out with Emeka Egbuka, right? Now I've been kind of sitting. I've been kind of just going through through articles about him, and it really kind of dawned on me that he's been kind of underappreciated. He's been under the shadow of Marvin Harrison Jr. But I think he's actually our most polished receiver, right? And I know that's crazy to sound, but I think he kind of does a little bit of everything well. I think obviously he needs to get better. Just needs to keep improving. But guess what? I mean, if you look at his stats, right? He had 74 catches. That was three less than Marvin Harrison Jr. He had a 1,151 yards receiving yards and 10 touchdowns, 4 off from Marvin Harrison Jr. This guy was very close. Marvin Harrison Jr. This guy was really good. He went under the radar. I don't think people realize how good he might be this upcoming season, right? Also, he had the most 80 plus yard games on this team. He actually had nine to Harrison seven. Harrison seven. He had the second. I think he had the second most. Yeah, the second most 100-yard receiving games. Second to Marvin Harrison Jr. So he had more 80 plus receiving yards game, and two less 100 yard games, right? And so this guy is really really underappreciated. I really had to go and think about it and really meditate on it, how good he actually is, and how scary that is. Just imagine if he can develop. I think he is. I think he is. This is going to be very very scary, right? And I kind of want to talk about kind of this last season. We didn't have the same, as good as we were. We didn't have the same production, right? And we didn't have that guy that kind of stepped up and took over the game when a guy was hurt, and we saw that in the Georgia game, right? The guys didn't really kind of take over the game. He was don't get me wrong, right? He was Emeka Bugo was really really good, right? But if you look at in 2021, right, when we had when Garrett Wilson was hurt, right, we had JSN step up, Chris Olave stepped up, and we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that with him. So that's just him. That's becoming more. more of being another first option, becoming more and more dominant. But I think he will take that next step. We're just gonna have to see. So the next guy. So actually, I want to go back. I actually want to go to Marvin Harrison Jr. Talk about him a little bit, right? So obviously, so I said that Emeka Buga is the most polished receiver, and here's why, right? Even though Marvin Harrison Jr. is really was the best receiver and the most dominant receiver, there's still things he can get on, right? There's a couple of things that I watched, right, and he talked about it, right? His abilities to make big plays, right? That was kind of his ability to make plays and create separation, right? That's something that he struggled with, right? So sometimes he couldn't really break tackles. Like there's some times where he just got tackled too easily, and even he said it in I think in the interview, right, where he wants to get better at creating bigger plays, taking a 10-yard game to a 60-yard game, just doing that more. I think he needs to get better at that. Getting better at running. He needs to get better at running after the catch. And so that's something that he's going to need to improve on, and also separation. There are some times where he wouldn't be as like physical with the player with the cornerback, and he's a freak of nature. Needs to get better at that and separation. And if he can get better at creating separation, he will that will help him create bigger plays. So let's go down. So let's go down the list. Let's go to Julian Fleming. So he was our third receiver. He's been, Julian Fleming has had a very crazy career at Ohio State. Obviously, he hasn't really lived up to the hype, the number one hype, coming out of high school. But he came onto the scene this year. Had a good first half of the season, but kind of tailed off. He had 500 yards. I know a lot of people are not as they're not as high on him as anymore, and I understand why. I thought he played okay in the last 2 games. I thought he can improve, but he needs to improve, right? So he needs to improve just get better at everything. I think he has really good speed. I know I kind of went all over the place there, but with a guy like Julian Fleming, I think he has really good speed. He needs to get more physical as a receiver. Sometimes he got overpowered by cornerbacks. There was a play against Penn State where he actually got pushed all the way to the bench by a cornerback, and he needs to work on that physicality. He has to work on his route running still, and he's still a very raw receiver. But again, I think he can improve, but it's the injuries. It's the injuries really that's been holding him back. If he can stay healthy, I think he could be really, really good. And let's go down the list. And Jaden Ballard, this is the one that a lot of Ohio State fans are really going to be excited about. We know that Jaden Ballard has had freaky speed. I think he clocked in the offseason at like 26 miles per hour. So he has crazy speed. We saw it in the Toledo game when he was playing the cleanup duty. And again, this is going to be very interesting. There's so much talent right here. He just has to work on everything. It looks like they need him on the field. I think they needed him on the field even before that. And again, this has been an issue. They're very tight about player rotations. They want these guys to be like perfect, before they get on the field. And sometimes that can. I don't think that's always the best. I feel like you need to find the best matchup, and you need to exploit those matchups. If you have a guy that's really, really fast, you need someone who's very, very freaky. You have to be able to find him, find him some opportunities to get on the field, right? And people were talking about the media. Well, the Buckeye media was talking about how he was really showing up, and that he really played, how he was doing well in bowl prep, and he never played. And I felt like maybe if he had a chance, maybe if he played, especially in the last few minutes of that few possessions of that game, maybe we could have exploited exploited something with him, right? We know that there. I don't think Georgia had a game plan for him, so I feel like we could have used him. But this is another guy with potential. So let's talk about Xavier Johnson, one of my favorite players. I think I talked about him in my old channel. I specifically before the season that he was gonna make big plays. Right, this is a guy that has got it out the mud. He was a walk on, and he's a guy that did everything, did what the coaches asked him. And I remember saying this, like, guys like that you need on championship type of teams, right? He was gonna make big plays, and he did that. Now I did not realize he was gonna make that many big plays. I did not realize he was gonna make it in the first game of the season. He had those two huge plays. He had a huge touchdown and a huge tackle on the kickoff team. A huge momentum tackle that changed the whole game. And he made constant big plays throughout the season, right? He had a 71-yard play against Indiana. Had a touchdown against Georgia. This guy, and he came back, and Brian Day and Brian Hartline. They said they have something planned for him. And again, I just don't understand how you're gonna feed all these guys, right? What are they gonna do with him? I know he's a Swiss Army knife. He can play running back, can play receiver. But again, I mean, look at the running back situation. We have 4 or 5 running backs that are really talented and really good, and that contributed all last season. So again, it's gonna be, I don't know how what they're gonna do, but it's gonna be insane. I go down the list. We have guys like Carnell Tate. Again, another guy that they've been high on. They've been praising. You have Keon Grace, Kojo Antwi. Bryson Rogers, Noah Rogers, Brandon Ennis. Another guy that a lot of people say he's gonna get some playing time right away. Right, he's a guy that he can get some playing time, and it's gonna be good right away. So it's gonna be this could be one of the deepest receiving rooms ever. I think there's about maybe 6 or 7 guys that might play, but who knows? I know that, again, they've been really tight about rotations. They don't like Brian Harlan doesn't like rotating receivers, but I think they really should. I think they have the guys to do it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think this is going to be one of the in a historic receiver room, or do you think it's going to be one of the deepest receiver rooms? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. All right, guys, I'm out.